Justin.
How's school going?
Pretty good. Was struggling for a while, but caught up now.
Are you in sports right now?
Yeah, right now I'm doing theater classes, but also I'm doing track and then wrestling postseason. So balancing like 3 different things, but
Yeah.
finding time for it all, I guess.
What are you doing in track?
The 2 mile and then the 100-meter dash and then pole vaulting.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the range of all of it, I guess.
So you actually able to get up on a pole vault?
I haven't done it before. I haven't done cross country earlier. I did that in the fall, so it's all like new to me. But the cross country coach is this the pole vaulting coach, and so he like convinced me to try it out. So.
Nice.
Oh, hey, Pastor Joe.
Hey, Ace. Cool?
A little bit, yeah. Wearing shorts, so.
Dude.
Yeah.
Needs pants.
No, I have pants. They were just in the washer, and I haven't dried them yet because I'm too lazy. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Always take more though.
I told you. Probably my fault though that I haven't. Nothing's happened.
Wait, do you get breaks?
So, bro. Morning.
What, like, since when? Maybe was I here last week? I didn't notice. It's a lot.
Allergic to light or something? Sit and got it on. Lucius Dominus Aurelian Maximus Decimus Meridius. And I would have my revenge. Aber was an ass.
Huh?
Aber was an ass.
Ever, wasn't it? Why do I know that? What's that from?
Wasn't that one of who did the Ten Commandments? What was this in the Ten Commandments?
Moses?
What was the director's name?
Oh, yeah. The old one, right? With
Or was it Monty Python? Aber was an ass.
it was Monty Python, I think. Yeah, because that's not very serious.
Is that Lucius?
Huh?
No, that's
Lucius?
I have a friend
Oh.
named Lucius. I was wondering if that was what it was, but
Lucius. Lucius. Depends on where you're from.
I wonder if he knows he's named after a Roman emperor.
There's a lot of Lucius in Rome.
so yes, it's a pretty common name.
Means light, illumination.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I can think they realized that when they made a bright gold figurine of him. So
Well, that's just typical Roman.
Do they do that for like, all
Artistry.
of them?
Not all of them, but a lot of them. Usually their statues are made like out of bronze or gold or marble,
That'd be pretty cool.
granite.
Walk through the streets and see like a gold statue of yourself.
Yeah. I think marble, well, I don't know if that'd be cool, but kind of be full of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Marble, I think, was the most common though. You want to see gold statues of yourself all over town?
No. I feel like that'd be like weird enough to like watching a video of yourself like everywhere you go. You know, like that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Like ew.
Do I really look like that? Gross.
¿Qué? Definitivamente.
Hey Maddie. What's good? AC/DC. You like the band? You like the band? AC/DC? You should listen to their music. Yeah. It's cool though. About the sass today. You could be a Karen when you grow up. Yeah. Pastor Joe.
You on your own this morning?
What you been up to?
What's
What you
that?
been up to?
I'm gonna teach teens, I guess.
What have you been doing?
I'm missing a good.
I have to explain to the class.
I know.
I'm stealing this, okay? I'm
Wait,
gonna steal this from your dad.
It's not mine, don't steal.
What is it?
He said, don't steal.
What?
It's not mine, but don't steal.
No, it's not. I would never do that.
You were just being hilarious, though.
Yeah, over something that's silly joking about.
Do
Stealing.
you guys stay up late?
No, always something to joke
I like
about
to sleep
it.
over when you go to bed. That's late. And when I used to do like sleepovers and stuff, we would like try to stay up as late as possible, but we always fell asleep. Yeah.
That's a silly thing to be joking
I
about.
used to go over.
Yeah.
I used to go over.
Not a good idea though. Definitely not a good idea.
Right.
Mom, that's so much thing
Including you.
Yeah.
That's a big sleepover. Yeah. The last sleepover, I didn't get any sleep because I was sleeping on the couch with my friend. He took my sleeping bag, and I was freezing cold because I didn't want to wake him up. Yeah, it was really weird. I was in a chair, and it's like a fancy chair, like they're rich, right? And like the chair arches, like it's an arch, and then it's got a back. And it's like so it's like mac and cheese, and then like an H. And I was sleeping on the chair, and my friend, we were all being goofy, and like he slept underneath that arch of the chair, and I was wearing a sleeping bag. I was like, I had like the sleeping bag unzipped, laying it over me, and then like a blanket, and he had just had like a little like blanket like this kind of, and but then he took my sleeping bag, and like in the middle of the night, I don't think he knew because he has like sleepwalking problems. And I was like freezing cold, just laying in the chair the whole time, and I couldn't sleep.
I would have taken it back.
Yeah. I didn't do that because I know he didn't mean to, and like I don't want to wake him up. But I just turned on the.
To be you, buddy.
Yeah. Luckily the TV was still on because we're watching South Park, so I just watched that all night.
Why that, of all things?
Because
Oh my
it was
gosh,
because
can't believe we're watching
we were sleeping
South
on his
Park.
basement, and he has like a TV, and all he has is channel, so that was the best thing on. So a lot of things not repeat. So
Yeah.
but that was a couple years ago. That was like 7th grade. Yeah, I learned a lot though. South Park teaches a lot of things.
It does teach a lot of things, but sometimes it's extremely inappropriate.
Now you remember to say the same thing. Thank you.
It's really bad though. Like, there's some stuff that is like all cartoon, like all like Family Guy and all that stuff out, and then there's a lot of like anti-Semitic stuff that I don't like, but the rest was funny.
On South Park?
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely not for kids.
yeah. There's a lot of like. In the moment, it's funny, but it's like after like a couple days, you realize like how bad it is, like how bad it was, because like there's a lot of like anti-Semitic stuff
In what?
in South Park.
What, you have an example?
Well, like one kid's like Jewish, and the other kid's like it's a group of friends, right? And the other kid's like one kid is like always like like dressing up like Hitler and stuff, and like showing up to school like making fun of him.
Wow, must be a Nazi.
Yeah. Not actually though, but like he thinks it's funny. Oh hey Corey.
Hello? Hello?
That's
Hello?
quite an interesting
Hey.
story about being a Nazi. That's not funny.
Of course not.
Yeah, it's not funny when, well,
No.
it's sort of funny, but not funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not a show for kids.
No.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because kids will not understand what's funny and what's not funny.
Exactly.
I think it's meant for like
It's more so adults, to be honest.
I guess that's why kids shouldn't watch it, but
Yeah.
there's always like there's a bunch of warnings on it like, about like immature content and like false reality stuff. So yeah, like Robot Chicken. Do you know that show, Laura? Robot
Don't bring it up.
What chicken? What?
Chicken. Robot Chicken.
Robot chicken?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. It's just like I think it's like a late night goofy thing, but it's like a bunch of just like animated like stop and like you know what is it called, like the stop and like go animation thing where they like
Stop
take
motion?
figurines and like
Yeah, stuff.
yeah
Like claymations.
yeah like claymation stuff like action figures, and it's like some of it's inappropriate, some of it's funny. It's just a bunch of that.
Kind of like MTV used to be.
Yeah.
You had like Beavis and Butthead and
Yeah, I think
trying to think what other
after
I've been
Cartoon Network,
Seeing
it was
Beavis and
Adult
Butthead
Swim.
is so long.
Ren and Stimpy.
I haven't seen it at all.
Ren and Stimpy was bad.
At my dad's house. So I've heard of it.
Is that the one where it's like there's like the two kids and then like they always have like the really ugly face?
Yeah.
I've seen that. Cross Country Hotel nights are fun.
One of them talks like Beavis or Butt.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Got my bag of guns.
The glories of Channel MTV, right?
Yeah, MTV was like, I only got to watch that when I went to my friend's house. And I felt like I was gonna get grounded if my parents found out.
Did my picture reach you
Picture?
We're talking about what we bought
Yeah.
last week.
yesterday, last evening?
Oh.
Aaron found me a wood lathe up in
My friend,
Swing.
he only has channel TV in his basement, and that's where we're hanging out. And my
Yep.
friend took
Did
my
you send
sleeping
that to
bag
me on
in his sleep.
Facebook or?
And then so I was
Just
like, the
Messenger
TV was still on, and we all went to bed.
Message
So I
or
was
one of the
sitting
two.
like freezing cold, like huddled up watching like
I can never remember what to send to
MTV and
them,
like
so.
South Park stuff and all that.
You haven't got anything from you.
Yeah. So that was a couple years ago. I bought it because of talking about Maddie and her sleeping.
Oh, gotcha.
Hannah.
I was gathering up all the toys before I don't have a paycheck.
Alright, am I in your spot?
No, I'm behind you.
Is it a wood lathe or?
Yeah, 40 inches long.
Nice. So if we need legs done. So if we need some table legs done.
Yep.
Wait till you get a little more experience, but.
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna trim the cherry trees pretty good, so I'm gonna start practicing on the cherry wood. I'll cut some burls from the maple trees at work before I quit.
How you doing, Jed?
Good, Justin. You're looking pretty snazzy.
Well, I'm the president of the United States, that's why.
Okay.
I'm taking Trump's job, he's not doing a good job.
Okay.
So I'm working on policies, the borders, fits and everything, that the president of the United States fits the damage to this country, to bring it back to the very foundation it was built on and made. Since the Revolutionary
You're
War.
smiling.
You're gonna be a busy man.
Oh, and that's fine with me.
He's smiling.
This mayor's gonna fall out and, fixing up his mistakes.
Well, good
You're
luck.
smiling.
What?
You're smiling.
I am. That's good. I'm not one of the president.
Good luck.
I think you should.
No.
Yeah.
I got plenty of stuff to do. I can't take care of a country.
Yeah, that makes sense, sir. You'd probably be better as a doctor than the president of the United States, and you have to have a political background. Now, why in the world is the president of the United States, even the president of the United States, if he doesn't have any political background? No, he has no history whatsoever being about.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's being all, unpolitical, because what he's doing is being harsh and
Hey, Justin.
loud. Is what he's doing, you know what I mean?
Hey, Justin.
Because he doesn't have the political skills
Well,
of a politician.
you can go to Mom, you can go to Laura, you can go to Grandpa, you can go to anybody but me.
You're being very loud. Sibby, you wanna come to me?
Yes.
Sorry, I was
Come,
not being loud.
come.
Was Sunday school?
Hi.
Sunday school.
You wanna be in Sunday school?
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have the political brains of being a politician.
I know, but it's not going here.
Oh, we don't? Well, you're right, we don't. We need to focus on politics. He's more like an empire, if you ask
Did you bring
me.
in my Sunday school
More
bag?
like the skills of an empire.
I did not.
Can I have the keys, please?
Your wife is right, Justin. Listen, said your wife is correct. You should listen to her.
Isn't it the wife always right? Well, sometimes I think she is too. Isn't that why Adam listened to Eve, because the wife was always right? If he didn't have listened to Adam,
Justin,
what?
that didn't work out well.
What?
It didn't work out.
What is it?
It didn't work out well.
Exactly, that's why they lost the foe of mankind. I'm sure David would agree with me on that. I don't know if he does.
I have no comment.
What?
I'm not getting into this, no. Not today.
Okay, buddy.
Alright,
Okay,
thanks.
Justin,
What?
it's time for Justin.
Yes. Sorry, Justin.
Simmer down.
That's Daddy. We I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Yes, boss.
Simmer down, dude. Jennifer, you with your pepperoni or staple, please. No, not like that.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
How's everybody's week? Good? Anything out of the ordinary?
Yeah. But I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I set my retirement date for May 31st.
Wait, and then you're taking the month of May off, right? To use all your vacation time?
No, they'll pay that out. I gotta squeeze in a bunch of sick leave.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be at your house May 31st then.
Okay.
Sounds like you.
Is that Emmy's?
Trader Joe's?
Maybe Julia's?
I'll just bring it back.
Okay.
But, maybe I'll put it in. Kentucky's.
2 minutes and we'll do it again.
Maddie must have been exhausted Friday because she lasted like a couple hours and then just passed out like
Really?
halfway on the bed.
Hannah said she had to like push her head back up onto the bed.
That's what we do all the
She's a
time.
crazy sleeper.
That's what happens when you've had a very long day.
She usually get up pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By 6:30.
Jeez. I wish Hannah would do that. Hannah would sleep until noon if you let her.
Boy, that's
We don't know that life.
self-explanatory.
We put them down like around
Yeah.
7:38, something like that.
Hmm. Maybe that's what we need to start doing. 11 o'clock is no bueno.
You let your kids stay up till 11 on the weekend?
On the weekends.
What are you guys, crazy? I used to all the time, and then Kim moved into my house and was like, there will be no more of this. Adults need adult time, children need to go to bed. I'm like, do they?
Weekends are like 8:39 usually.
Yeah, you would have us going to
8:30?
bed at 7 or 8, right?
Keep it the same. I'm not, we're good.
All right. Do we have a volunteer to open us up in prayer this morning? Justin?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day that you gathered us here together to hear what the teacher said. I am not saying that right. Say in the historical records of the ancient times of the Roman Empire and the empires. Well, I'm not going to go into politics because I don't need to. I might get slapped by my wife if I do that. But with all that being said, I hope we could take a little bit of what's been said to the eyes of the teacher and from you, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Maybe that was really too proud. I probably shouldn't have said that.
You're fine, you're overthinking it.
All right. So, quick recap. What time period we at here in the history of the church?
Almost to Julius Caesar? No.
Holy moly, where have you been?
No, that was the first one. We're all the way. Almost to the end.
I mean, it's like right up there.
Brain's not.
It looks like we're going on 200 years after the, basically most of the apostles' time frame now.
Yep. So what's going on in Rome?
They're collapsing.
Collapsing?
She's not collapsing, she's just in a slight period of decline.
Yeah. Can you be-
Reorganizing.
What's that?
Reorganization. of
How so?
leadership. Military leadership, political leadership, they've kind of distanced themselves from one another. not voluntarily. Well, the Senate wanted more autonomy from the military's oversight. Not oversight, but just connection, I guess.
It's actually quite the opposite.
Or was it? Oh, the military wanted less oversight from the Senate to do what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the empire split, right? How did it split?
Split into three pieces, basically. You've got one person basically in charge of Gaul or the France area.
Yeah, do you remember the name of that empire?
Gallic.
There you go. Gallic Empire. You get a star.
Phoenician.
Do you remember who was emperor over the Gallic Empire? Postumus. What about the other empire? What's the Eastern Empire?
Phoenician Empire.
No.
Syrian?
Oh, I'm off.
You're gonna be so disappointed in us because we don't remember. Sassanid?
The
Palmyrene Empire.
To be
Can-
fair, Sassanid is also east.
That's true.
But that's the Persian.
That's a
Persian
completely different empire.
It's not part-
Right? He
it's
said,
not-
what is an empire
it's
in
not-
the east?
It's not part of the Roman Empire. He was asking what are the three parts of the Roman Empire.
And then, so who's emperor over the Palmyrene Empire?
The lady.
Odaenathus.
Nope. Not the lady.
So
There was like a lady empress.
and then who's over Central? Who's over Rome? Anybody remember? Gallienus. So you have Postumus, Odaenathus, and Gallienus. So who are the enemies that they're dealing with at this time period?
Themselves.
That
Now you can say it. Now you can say it.
No.
That other empire further into
The Sassanid Empire.
Yes.
The Vandals up north.
Yep. The Vandals haven't they will enter the picture, not when the three empires are established, but so yeah, the Sassanids. What about out west?
The Gauls.
Goths.
Franks, the Gauls. Yeah, the Goths are from. Where are the Goths coming from?
Hot topic. All I think of is like white makeup.
That's what
with
I
the
thought when I
dark-
first
I'm
started
like,
looking.
I'm gonna take you over, but
I was like, did they dress in all black and wear chains and stuff?
the spiky collars.
Yeah, so the Goths, where are the Goths coming from? Not the mall. The north. Yeah, so kind of the Baltic region and down the Black Sea. And then we have the Alemanni, which are also a western enemy. So
Weren't there also the Germanic tribes as well?
yes. Yep. Which those would essentially be the Vandals and the Goths. So those are the enemies that are approaching on Rome that they're trying to deal with. And so Rome is split into three, which actually helps out, Rome in defeating, or at least slowing down the advancement of these other tribes or other nations, as each empire basically focuses on its own region. And so then in a matter of a year, all three emperors are assassinated, each in their own way. Do you remember who took over Odaenathus's position in the east? Holly
His wife.
brought it up. His wife, yeah. Anybody remember her name? Zenobia.
Zsa.
Zenobia. So Zenobia, you know, kind of fainted. Fainted that they were under Rome, under Rome's authority, but in the background she's advancing the Palmyrene Empire into Syria, so she gains the backing of Syria and Anatolia as well, so present-day Turkey. So she gains the support of Turkey and Syria, and then she also advances on to Alexandria. Why is Alexandria important to Rome?
There was that
Is that
library.
Egypt?
Yes,
There was that library.
there was one of the biggest libraries in the world there.
It's, Egypt is kind of the breadbasket of the region.
That's right.
So
They're one of the main food sources for Rome. So Zenobia becomes essentially a threat to Rome. So anybody remember who took Gallienus's position in Rome? That would be Claudius. So Claudius takes the throne, and he continues dealing with the Goths primarily, and that's when the Vandals enter the picture. So the Vandals are a fairly well organized Germanic tribe, or mixture of Germanic tribes that starts advancing on Rome's territory. So Claudius lasted essentially, I think, 8 months. And he was killed. Actually, sorry, he died of the Cyprian plague. So he fell ill to the Cyprian plague.
Is that the same one that addresses Cleopatra?
No, that was sometime prior. That was Octavian, I believe. Yeah, Octavian. He had an affair with Cleopatra. And then I think she also had a thing with Antony as well, but
Yeah.
so she got around.
Mm-hmm.
So then we left off last week with, whoops. Aurelian. So what's Aurelian dealing with? Anybody remember? So they've got a shortage of troops, you know, due to there's plagues going on. Rome is going through economic hardships. The value of the coin has been significantly reduced. If you remember, Gallienus had established multiple mints where, you know, there was a primary mint within Rome. And so, you know, coinage was being created throughout the empire. I think they had three primary mints, or 3 mints. The mines were drying up, so they were running out of silver. And when Aurelian takes office, he, you know, after pushing back the Vandals and the Goths, he has some time to actually, you know, go back to Rome, making his position official. and there's riots within Rome when he enters, because they know that, you know, Aurelian has this, has earned a reputation of being very strict. You know, his nickname was hand on sword or hand on hilt. So very strict, disciplined, strategist. So he enters Rome.
Sounds like my amazing-in-law.
So he enters Rome, and to be confronted by riots, which are, the riots are started by essentially the people that are running the mint in Rome. They become so corrupted, you know, they're, whatever silver is left, they're pocketing, and so the coin essentially has, like, you know, not 5% of silver in it. And so they're worried that when Aurelian enters, you know, that they're essentially going to be killed. So they start a revolt in hopes to overthrow Aurelian, and Aurelian's able to put down the revolts and basically cleanses out, you know, the management part of the mint, and I believe that's where we left off. So, and then if you remember, yep. So yeah. So in dealing with the Vandals and the Alemanni, who, you know, the Alemanni had actually reached Italy, Rome, on a couple occasions. So, you know, prior to this, Rome enjoyed, you know, time periods where they didn't need walls, didn't need defenses that close to home. And so Aurelian, concerned with the future security of Rome, started building walls around the city with the plan to move, you know, to other major cities.
That was without the military's involvement.
That's right. So the military was busy, you know, trying to keep the advancing Franks, Goths, Vandals at bay. So he hired, you know, essentially civilians to construct the wall. So picking up from there, so go ahead.
So in that picture, it looks like if Vandals really wanted to, they can go around.
Well, the wall eventually encircled the entire city.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't finished in Aurelian's lifetime, but it would go on to encircle the entire city. So picking up, you know, in the east, Zenobia was taking full advantage, while the power and prestige of Rome was, you know, essentially at its all-time low. And so Zenobia was working to sever Rome completely from the east, making the Palmyrene Empire, you know, completely independent. So as I mentioned, she had quietly persuaded Anatolia over to the Palmyrene Empire, and she had also taken over Egypt. She did all this, you know, while still claiming that, you know, they were aligned with Rome. You know, in their mints, they still, you know, made coins with the emperor's face on it. You know, all in a kind of a political ruse that, you know, she still supported Rome, but ultimately she didn't. So in 271, Aurelian had, you know, finally had enough and decided to march his army out of Italy to confront the Palmyrene Empire, and splitting off a portion of his military to head south to Alexandria to confront the empire there. So in response, Zenobia decided to go all in and set up a forward base in Syria with the hopes that the recently joined Syrians and Anatolians would support the defensive against Rome. And so Aurelian's reputation far outweighed Zenobia's, obviously. So upon reaching the Syrian gates, they opened them and allowed Aurelian to continue his advancement. So every other city followed suit as Aurelian moved east, and instead of allowing his army to loot and sack each city, he declared that there would be no such looting, and a general pardon was declared. So he made this kind of a standard practice as one of his goals. His primary goal was to reunify Rome, to bring the Eastern and the Western Empire back to Rome.
So did it backfire on the first?
Yeah, on Zenobia. So Aurelian had began following the teachings of Apollonius of Tyana, who, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. So he was, Apollonius was a Greek philosopher, and he was, there was a movement within Rome that essentially was their answer to the person of Christ. So Apollonius was viewed as a miracle worker. They claimed that he died and went to heaven. And so it was kind of their, version of the Messiah. And so Aurelian claimed that he was visited in a dream by Apollonius. And Apollonius told him that if he desired to rule, that he must abstain from shedding the blood of innocents, and that if he planned to conquer, he must first plan to be merciful. So Apollonius was thought to have been a miracle worker who had ascended to heaven and defied the bloodiest emperors of Rome, who were Nero and Domitian. So he was alive during Nero and Domitian's reign. So Aurelian's soft approach ended up lending itself to helping unify and bring back the Eastern empires under the fold of Rome. So the unit that Aurelian had set out for Alexandria easily overcame the regional army and brought Alexandria back under Roman control. And then Zenobia then deployed the Palmyrene army from Antioch to confront Aurelian. And under any other emperor, the Roman legions would have more than likely been utterly destroyed by Zenobia's army, because the army was made up of Arameans and Arabs, including majority Bedouins. Anybody remember who the Bedouins were? They were kind of the unruly, uncultured tribes within Saudi Arabia. So they lived in, kind of the region of Saudi Arabia that no other people would enter. But they were known as, ruthless warriors. So they had joined in the fight. And they made up what was called cataphracts, which was a heavy cavalry. So they would, dress up their horses in heavy armory, and they'd wear heavy armory. And so, they had the advance because they were fighting in their home turf in the desert. But Aurelian was a master strategist and tactician, and he was followed by, very disciplined troops. So at an arranged time, Aurelian had his cavalry attack the cataphracts for a time, and then, they broke away in a faked retreat. So they, put on an act like they were retreating. And so the cataphracts gave chase to the point where they became exhausted, and then Aurelian gave the command for his cavalry to basically make a loop, and they headed straight into the sides of the cataphract. So basically utterly destroyed the Zenobia's army.
Heavy armor is not always a good thing in the desert.
No.
And for long chases.
Yeah. And then, much to the leaders of the Palmyrene's surprise, Zabdas, who was the chief general of the army, he, basically realized how advanced the Roman army was. He packed up his army overnight and retreated out east. So So here Zenobia is left without her primary general and a major portion of her military. And so in desperation, she turns to the Sassanids for support. But at the time, Shapur was dying. He was on his deathbed. And the Sassanid Empire was basically divided in, determining who would succeed Shapur. So they were going through an internal conflict. So they had no effort or reason to support Zenobia. So then in a last ditch effort, Zenobia left Palmyra, which was the capital of the Palmyrene Empire. She left to go to the Sassanid capital to plead for their support. And the Sassanid capital, just as a FYI, was modern day Baghdad, or around Babylon. So she heads there, and Aurelian was made aware that she had slipped out of the city of Palmyra in Syria and to head east, and so he dispatched his cavalry and was able to capture her. So he imprisons Zenobia, basically marches her through the streets of Rome in a triumph, but does not execute her, which was kind of in opposition to what her army wanted. They wanted retribution. They wanted her put to death, but again, Aurelian was following the Roman Jesus and his teachings. So he showed mercy. So then after capturing Zenobia, Aurelian left to go back to fighting the northern tribes, but shortly thereafter in 273, the leaders within the Palmyra Empire attempted to lead a revolt, and so Aurelian marched back to Syria, this time while still practicing restraint and not killing the civilians. He leveled the capital city to the ground except for the main religious facilities, including the Temple of Bel. I don't know if you guys remember the Temple of Bel, which back in 2015 was destroyed by ISIS. So this was a depiction of the Temple of Bel at the time. So really popular, big structure. And that was prior to 2015. So you could go there and visit that in Syria. And then that's after ISIS destroyed it in 2015. So when Alexandria did the same, when he reached Alexandria, when Aurelian reached Alexandria, he essentially did the same. He razed Alexandria to the ground, and this time he burned down essentially the greatest library in history at the time, the Alexandria Library of Alexandria. So afterwards, Aurelian entered back into Rome and started planning on subduing the Gallic Empire. And in 274, marched his army west to France and defeated Tetricus I, which dissolved the Western Empire.
I need your last 5 minutes.
Okay.
To the church,
okay?
Just let me know when.
Okay. Uh-oh.
What did you guys do this morning?
I don't know. After dissolving the Gallic Empire, Aurelian then focused on Rome's monetary system. So in order to have better control over the mints and coin devaluation, Aurelius had mints built all over the empire in order to minimize the effect that would be had if a mint started debasing coins. So if you imagine if you only had 3 mints throughout the empire and they start, corruption kicks in and they start debasing the coin, because one mint would support a fairly significant region, it would have wide resounding effects. So in order to minimize that, he multiplied the number of mints throughout Rome, so that if they did become corrupt, it wouldn't have such a large effect. And he established what was essentially the our IRS. So he set up a imperial agent that would be in charge of all the mints and was only answerable to the emperor. And now the emperor could order the silver content to be changed and would be confident that the order was implemented across the empire. But this approach did not address the problem of inflation that Rome was kind of new to and as we'll get into, is starting to kind of approach a maxim. So under Aurelian, Rome began moving towards monotheism, paving way for Constantine and his efforts. So Aurelian believed, through the teachings of, sorry, I got to go back and look at his name again. I can't ever remember it. Hippolysian? Apollonius. So Aurelian moves to a system of monotheism, which, as I mentioned, kind of opens the way for Constantine. And so Aurelian believed that Sol, which was the Roman sun god, was the only true god, and in 270 AD established Sol Invictus. Sarah, you're learning Latin. What does Sol Invictus mean?
Sol is sun.
Yeah, what's Invictus mean? Unconquerable or invincible. So he instituted the unconquered sun, or the invincible sun, day of the invincible sun. So can anybody guess as to what day he established the Sol Invictus?
Yes, December 25th.
That's right. So this was to celebrate here's some more Latin, Sarah. Dies
God.
Natalis.
Nautilus?
Yeah, Nautilus.
Makes me think of like the ocean. Nautanaute is sailor. Ocean, or sea.
Birthday. Yeah. Solus Invicta.
Natalist. Natal.
Oh, natalist. There we go.
Yeah, no you.
Yeah, natalist.
N-A-T.
Yeah. Birthday of the invincible sun. So that was December 25th. So unlike Decius, Aurelian separated his views on monotheism from the more popular pagan polytheism, allowing citizens to continue in polytheism. But as Aurelian saw it, the other gods such as Jupiter, Apollo, and Mars, these were just manifestations that the god Sol chose to reveal himself as.
Makes sense.
I better stop there, so get your
Get right with God.
get ready.
It did come across, it made me come across like
That was very ominous.
I wonder if it's a Roy update.
Told me I don't know, he didn't tell me.
I was trying to look at the clock, but I cannot see the clock from this angle.